Let's talk about some awesome highlights from WWE Clash at the Castle. I got 5 things on the list to discuss that I thought were just really big standout moments, really good lead when it comes to storylines in WWE all the way to SummerSlam and beyond. The first one of these highlights is going to be CM Punk. CM Punk coming in as referee I thought was a standout highlight of Clash of the Castle. I expected Punk to interfere in the match in some way, shape, or form, but I didn't see this coming. And not just the referee spot, where the referee gets the bump, he's out, and Punk slides in. I love the camera work that they did with this, where they didn't focus on Punk. They got the shot of Drew and Drew's reaction. And Drew's reaction with all this was basically like, oh no, like, I'm screwed. And Punk does just that. Throws up the 2, he doesn't count to 3, and I love that they had the reveal of it being CM Punk, and he just has that smirk on his face, hits him with the low blow. Damian Priest ends up winning and retaining his championship. The other piece that I loved with this was after the match. 2 things. 1, I loved that Drew McIntyre lost his mind. So they showed it online that Drew was just going crazy, swearing his head off, just enraged by CM Punk. And this is exactly what you needed to see. You need to see Drew McIntyre lose it so we can figure out what he's going to do on Raw. What is he going to do to CM Punk to get even with him? The other thing that I loved as a highlight was also on social, where they had CM Punk showing him backstage. The referee spot happens, he's taken out, and Punk is running around saying to the referee, give me a referee shirt, give me your shirt, I need a shirt. And then he ran out there and did the spot. I love this because it showed the attention to detail you needed to do with this story. Because if you didn't do this, it doesn't make sense that Punk would run out as the ref. It would be a cool spot still, but when you think about it logically, how would Punk know the referee was going to get hit and then he would be ready with the referee shirt, just wearing it all day long? It wouldn't make any sense. They had it made sense. Make it make sense, and they did, and that's the stuff that I love to see. It's the tiny detail they did in this that worked for me. Okay, the next highlight for me for Clash, Otis. And specifically, like, the match was good between Chad and Sami Zayn, and Sami retains, but the moment of Otis turning and getting in the middle and getting in the face of Chad Gable as the match escalated, as everything started to escalate, it was perfect, and you had the crowd pop. They blew the roof off the place for Otis, and this matters to me because it is showing what the storytelling can do. Someone like Otis, who has been just a tag team guy, who's been kind of in the background, doesn't talk a lot. Yes, he's entertaining, but he hasn't had much of a story. They have done this in a matter of months where it's not about Chad and Sami and their rivalry anymore. And Chad wanting to get the Intercontinental title, yes, is a priority, but for the fans and the story arc right now, it's all about Otis. And the moment that Otis will finally hit Chad Gable in the face, it's what the crowd wants to see. And the fact that they could get a giant reaction of just Otis turning to Chad Gable, getting in his face, and the crowd goes bananas like he won the world title, shows us that they're doing a better job with the storytelling, and that you can move and slide Sami kind of out of the picture now. And with the reaction too of Chad Gable at the end, when the camera focused in on Chad, how angry he looked, twitching and just seething that he lost, you could see that Chad Gable is going to become an even bigger heel. And so Otis's moment when he finally clocks Chad Gable, it's going to be epic. I thought they would do it at Clash, but now I'm like, great, they're gonna save it. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn winning the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Just didn't see it coming. This was the match on the card where I thought, okay, Bianca Jade, they will retain. That's the end of it. It'll be a 10-minute match. They'll just retain. It'll be a nice showcase for them. I thought the match was pretty good overall. I just did not see them winning, period. So happy for them. Glad they did. It shakes things up. And this is what I like. It doesn't have to have long title reigns on everybody. Mix it up. And you have 2 dominant superstars of Bianca and Jade who'd be like, they're not going to lose the titles until they're ready to lose the belts. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with their story going forward. But Alba Fire, Isla Dawn winning the women's tag titles, I like it because it opens up the door for what you can do with the women's tag division. You're reintroducing them as a credible tag team and obviously putting the titles on them, they're now focused on SmackDown and Raw, and they could cross brands. And you're doing more now with the women's tag division. I still want a mid-card women's title because I think it desperately needs it. But if they're going to put more effort and time and attention into the women's tag division, then I'm all for it. Have the teams make sense, have them actually be real tag teams. It's good. And you're then going to be able to pivot and put Jade and Bianca in whatever story. Maybe they're going to keep tagging. But the good thing is with this, it's a longer story arc. Because normally if you watch like years of Vince McMahon, it would be Jade and Bianca win titles. They're pure baby faces smiling all the time. They lose belts. There's a turn. And then that's the end of their relationship. And I think that's what we as fans are accustomed to so much with WWE. And I think what they're going to do here is they are going to long play this. Jade and Bianca might just, dust themselves off, climb back up the tag ranks, get themselves the belts again. And they might get it again at SummerSlam. They might get it at Money in the Bank. We don't know. They might turn around and get them back on SmackDown. I don't know. But they could possibly get those belts just back and be tag team again. And then they just keep building their story so that maybe they lose them again later on at like Survivor Series. And then you can maybe tee up the breakup when it comes to like the Royal Rumble. And maybe Jade throws out Bianca and that sets up their match. But I love that they had this moment. The hometown crowd for Alpha Fire Aladon. It was tremendous. Great highlight. Back to the World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't have every match on here. I'm not just going to say there's a highlight from every single match. It's just things that stood out to me. One of the big highlights for me was going to be Damian Priest's leg spot. He got tied up in the ropes. It does not look like it was a planned spot at all. I was super worried that the guy got injured, horribly injured, and either one of two things was going on in that match. Either after the spot happened, you could see like Drew was asking to be like, okay, are you all right? And clearly they kept going forward. One of two things was going on with that. Either Damian really was hurt throughout all of that rest of the match, and big applaud and kudos to him for fighting through the pain and doing the entire match on one leg. Or that spot happened, tweaked his leg a little bit, and then he leaned into it as part of the story for the match and was selling it. And if he was, that was amazing. So either way, kudos to Damian Priest for gutting it out. And it helps when stuff like that happens in a match. It can often elevate the person, giving them more credibility with the audience, that they gutted it out, that they finished this because it looked nasty. And that match was really good on its own. And I had pretty moderate expectations for it because I didn't feel like there was much of a story going in. It was more of Drew's story. Damian Priest hasn't impressed me in terms of champion from the storytelling perspective. This match made me feel like, wow, I'm actually excited to see what Damian Priest will do next as world champion. I'm excited to see him, if it's him versus Gunther at SummerSlam. I am excited for that match, to see two guys that are hard hitting like Drew and Damian Priest. That could be a killer match. And I want to see what Damian Priest can do now with the belt. Now that he's got more momentum, what's going to be next for him? But the spot was like, it looked painful. I don't envy him, but I'm glad that he was okay. The last highlight for me for Clash, Bloodline storyline is finally happening. We're finally gonna do something, but man, oh man, we will do some videos. If you guys want to do, comment below, by the way, if you guys want to talk more about specifically this Bloodline storyline, what we're gonna get over the next probably year and where we think it's gonna go. If you guys want to talk about that, let me know. I am so curious with this. So the end of the I Quit match between Cody and AJ Styles, Cody retains, shocker, but he threatens AJ with stairs. Like, I'm gonna throw a staircase at you. AJ says I quit, and then Cody does it anyways, which is kind of hilarious in its own right. So they get up to the ramp, and then Solo Sikoa just kind of like walks right out there, and he's standing beside him like, hi, and then off they go. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton come out, big pop. Clearly we are going to get, and then it breaks up in the schmoz. Clearly we are going to be getting Cody, Randy, Kevin Owens versus New Bloodline 3-on-3. Could that be the SummerSlam match where you're going to get this 6-man tag? It's not abnormal. WWE through the Bloodline storyline did lots of tag team matches as like the main events, or Roman was in the tag match, or the Usos and so on. They could totally do this as a 6-man tag. It also gets away from just Cody just having title shots where you know Cody's gonna win. But the Bloodline story is finally starting with Cody, and oh man, does it need it. Because I've been entertained by Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, and I'm glad that they're in there and they're in WWE. I like what they were doing with Randy and Kevin Owens. It's been a bloody mess. It's been aggressive. I don't buy Solo as the leader. I don't buy it. I feel like Cody could just squash the guy. Solo also hasn't won any matches since he beat John Cena. Like, nothing. Like, so Solo, I don't buy as the leader. And maybe that's part of the story and the point here. He's the lieutenant. I just don't buy Solo as the big, scary guy that I'm intimidated by. Like, he's the henchman. Now, and it's probably all like working around that it's gonna be like they're working for The Rock. That's what it should be anyways. But this, I'm glad it's finally happening because I was getting worried, like we've seen in the past with the Bloodline story. For me, it gets to a certain point where they start spinning their wheels. After WrestleMania 39 and Roman retained, and you had the Bloodline just getting a little bit stronger and all that, there was a period in there, and Sammy's gone, there's a period in there where they were in kind of a lull of their story where not a lot was happening, and then it finally cranked up again. And I felt like, okay, we've established these new members of the new Bloodline, but I was starting to get like, okay, this is kind of spinning your wheels every single week, doing almost the exact same things. Paul Heyman is scared, new Bloodline fights people, Solo says I'm leader, everyone's got a name, and then that's it. So I've kind of gone down in terms of my enjoyment of the Bloodline story. Finally, they've introduced things with Cody. Would it have made more sense though if Bloodline just attacked Cody Rhodes in the match? It's an I Quit match. There's no DQ. You could have had Bloodline actually interfere in this thing. Cody still retains somehow because he's Cody Rhodes. But I'm glad that we are probably going to eventually see a 6-man tag. Also, sidebar for a second. Are they going to do Randy versus Gunther again? Because of the King of the Ring spot? Triple H said that, you know, the shoulders were up, so they're going to have a match at some point. I wonder if they're just going to kind of try to forget about that. And then they're just going to move on Randy with the Bloodline. Maybe, I don't know. But I think it's great that we're going to get this Bloodline story starting. To me, it's probably going to be a 6-man tag at SummerSlam. I think that would be kind of refreshing, not just Cody in a one-on-one title match, or they are going to do the title match and it would be Cody versus Solo. But they're finally starting things and getting it into gear when it comes to the Bloodline story. What were your highlights for Clash at the Castle? That was a good show overall. Triple H likes his 5 matches on the card. Let them breathe a little bit. I did enjoy it. Guys, if you enjoyed that, enjoy this one because I got more WWE content coming at you. Have a great day. See ya.